Welcome to Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper. This is not your typical financial radio show. As a licensed CPA, insurance agent, and investment advisory representative, Chris coaches his clients on a holistic view of financial well-being with an objective of providing a complete financial strategy to fund life's goals. Chris is here to guide you down the path to the financial serenity you deserve. Now, here's Chris Cooper.
All right, good morning. So today we are going to spend a little time talking with my friend Caleb Geuns of Diamond G Hat Company. Caleb, how are you?
Doing really well. Thanks for having me back here.
Yeah, welcome back, man. So Caleb's been on the show before. He is local, lives in the Cottleville area, and really does a lot of business, really nationwide, distributing cowboy hats across the country and other countries as well.
Yeah, it's slowly grown. I think I was on here in like August or September last year. And yeah, it just continues to grow. It continues to amaze me that a company that has not a ton of time underneath its belt, the reach we've gotten. I mean, when we put out baseball hats, you know, just to kind of like brand building baseball hats that we have for sale, and we're sending them to like New York City and Las Vegas and LA. And I'm like, I don't understand how we've gotten to this point, but it's been such a wild, great ride that just hold on tight
and enjoy, right? Well, yeah, hold on to your hat and ride into the sunset,
yeah,
right?
Maybe you need a nicer hat to hold on to. I don't
Absolutely. Well, I think when you've got a passion about it and it shows in what you do. I mean, my cowboy hat, for those that are watching our streaming broadcast here, it's sitting on the table here in this brown cowboy hat here. It is absolutely beautiful, and it was hand shaped by Mr. Geuns here. So
yeah, if I remember that correctly, we wanted something that was a little more like Rip.
Well, you know, you got to look like, I mean, if you're that's the cowboy of today's time, right? The ultimate really cool, tough guy. You know?
Yeah, definitely no nonsense, that guy. And so there are some like characteristics.
I don't know if that's me or not, but I'm gonna go with it.
Portray it,
you know.
Yeah. There's definitely some characteristics of everybody's hat shapes and their desires that you kind of have to keep up on that stuff. Like yours has a very like unique front. They're called howdy ma'am. So it kind of like, it's where you grab your hat to present yourself to a female, like howdy ma'am. And so there's those curls that are very distinct to Rip's look that we've gotten accustomed to.
Yeah, well, and you know, with his personality, while he's kind of tough and gritty, he also, if you think about it, he actually has some manners to him as well.
Yeah. So, most of the time in those early seasons, even when he saw Beth, you know, he greeted her appropriately.
Absolutely.
So,
it's crazy. So, all right. So where have you been lately? What's been new? So tell me some of the events you've got coming up. Where can people see you?
So crazy. I just got back not long ago from Calgary.
Okay.
I spent a week up at the Calgary Stampede as a shaper for Smith Built hats.
Nice.
So people that don't know, Smith Built is like the American equivalent of Stetson.
Okay.
They've been in effect for 106 years there in Calgary. And part of the Stampede for many people every year is getting a new Smith Built hat. And so I had the honor to go up there and just be a guest shaper. Before that, we were in Monticello, Illinois for an IPRA rodeo. Got back, took 4 days off, and then did the Warren County Fair in Warrenton, Missouri.
Okay.
Which special shout out to Warrenton. Like, they were the first public event that our company ever did in April of 2024. And every time we roll into Warrenton, there's a line of people waiting to see us.
Fantastic.
And it's like the home away from home at this point. I've even, you know, subtly joked with people that if a storefront came available in downtown Warrenton, we might not totally rule that out.
Nice.
Although we're not super active on the brick and mortar side of things, I know that's definitely a growth potential that we'll look for. It's just location.
Yeah.
But
Warrenton's about to get hit with some big growth, I think, and they've already seen some of it. But once this whole 70 expansion takes place and that becomes a little bit easier, a little bit accessible, the Western movement continues to happen. I could see it becoming an area that's going to continue to expand.
Yeah, and like I said, there's already a really great population of people out there that are hardworking, well-to-do, and you know, they deserve everything that's coming their way for sure in the way of like growth. Coming up, we have obviously the St. Charles County Fair in Wentzville is starting on the 22nd. So as of right now, we'll be there all week. Which last year we just did 2 nights to kind of test the waters. And then we'll follow that quickly up. I mean, the month will change in no time. And then we're at the Bush Distillery in Defiance for their next stop in the rodeo series, which I believe that's August 2nd.
Yeah, I think
Saturday, August 2nd.
Yeah, I'm going to be there as well. That's a really cool place. Oh wait, no, I won't be at that one. I'll be out of town.
Yeah.
So,
well, September and October,
okay.
first Saturday every month.
Exactly. So, there's a bunch of them to choose from. Really cool event. And if you haven't checked out Billy Bush's place, it's actually a lot of fun too.
It really is. And then, September, the hits don't stop, as they say. We're all the way from what it sounds like right now, a stop in Pendleton, Oregon at the Pendleton Roundup up there.
Okay.
I'll be flying in there. We have a private event up in Cahokia, Missouri. We're going to be in Peoria, Illinois, and Langley, Illinois. So what started as a little thing, not long ago, that I was like, boy, if we could just pay for an extra vacation a year for my family, I'd be stoked. This is quickly, I got to give you credit, Chris. I was on the show last time and you asked what I attributed the Quick Rise and success to.
Yeah.
And I think, ad lib an answer along the lines of, just keep saying yes when opportunity presents itself. And I think that was my first declaration, that I was just so thankful for the blessings God gave me.
Yeah.
I don't really, I'm not very super public about my religious beliefs, but I'm pretty proud of that. And I remember when I said that, I almost cried. I don't know if that relayed, because I was like, what are you doing? This is so not like you. And those blessings just kept going after that. The company's grown. I left my job, my corporate job in Spain. I'm now in a leadership role with our church and school.
Very cool.
So, I guess he giveth, and then he kind of nudge a little bit.
Well, when you're passionate too,
yeah.
You enjoy it. It's your passion. It's your baby, and watching it grow. And now you're like, hey, I'm out of here. I'm doing what I want to do. And I knew you were close to this when we last talked, because most of the people that see this, get work through their business, your toe's not just in the water. You're jumping all in.
It can't be. You have to, at a certain point, you have to burn the ships and say there is no going back.
Right.
I think we're definitely well past that point. I think another thing that for me is anything I do work wise, I want it to be, a big reward is the significance of the work.
Yeah.
Our last name is the G in Diamond G. So that's important to me. And at the same time, as you get a little older, you get a little bit more introspective on how you want to be remembered in your legacy. Yeah. My legacy was not doing transactional business through Spain.
Right.
My legacy is how I can affect my community and my family, and, really set the immediate, area up for the next 100 years. And how do we want to be remembered? And, the opportunity to go to work for our church was a big part of that. And also be able to be home for my kids and grow the family business.
Right.
My 10-year-old daughter is already learning how to shape hats and clean them. And I think that it's not about her, being a part of the day-to-day business. Is about us spending time together, her understanding the value of money for work.
Well, and entrepreneurship is not something that's taught in schools.
Right.
And that dedication and that support and that really pride, when you work for a company, it's hard to get some of that same pride. And, you're on the hook for every little decision now, baby. And it's not a bad thing.
No, yeah. I mean, I think accountability is the lost art with a lot of what's being taught this generation. And so if somebody can step up and say, I own the mistake, it's only a failure if you don't learn from it.
That's right.
So you just move forward, and we got dealt that card, and now how are we going to play it?
Yeah. So, all right. So you mentioned art just now. So I'm going to talk about the art of hat making a little bit, because, we were talking about it a little bit off air, and it is a little bit of an art. Everyone does this slightly different, right?
Yeah. I mean, a good example of this, when we were up in Canada, there was 4 of us that flew up from America to help out their crew so that their crew didn't get exhausted. I mean, to put this in perspective, and I might get, slapped on the hand for this, they're doing, on their slowest day in that week I was there, they were doing 6 figures in sales.
That's a lot.
So that's a lot.
Yeah.
And we're just busting out hats. Well, so you have 8 different guys shaping hats there behind steam heads. And
you're running just nonstop here.
Yeah.
And this is 6-8 people or something.
Yeah. 8 people. And we were able to watch each other and still banter and stuff. But all 8 of us.
But that's part of the emotion in the process. I mean, you built my hat, so I know there's a little bit of a fun aspect that goes into it.
The experience goes with the
absolutely.
Product. And we were kind of watching each other, and not a single one of us shaped a hat start to finish the same way.
Yeah.
And I thought that was cool. Now we steal, obviously we salad bar stuff. You take a little of this, little of that from every which way.
Yeah.
And in the end, you get to a pretty solid product. And I even told you, like, you know, before we came on air, that like your hat now, when I look at it, I do it different. I'll touch it up one of these days, you know, we'll do some stuff, but you know, it really, like, I use the analogy, like you look at a Monet versus a Van Gogh,
right?
You know, a Van Gogh dead away. It doesn't mean that the Monet is not an amazing painting. It's just done a different way by a different guy.
And some people prefer Monets. Some people are Van Gogh people.
Right.
You know?
And so we were seeing that a little bit up in Canada too, is like, you know, we had somebody, we stopped in, I don't know if you remember the movie Cool Runnings, like the Jamaican bobsled.
Come on, are you kidding me? John Candy?
Right. So the scene where they got in the bar fight at Ranchman's, we actually went to Ranchman's on the Friday night, and we got treated like celebrities. First of all, we were on like the guest list for the artist who was from Texas.
Yeah.
They take us in front of the gates between the stage and the general attendance gate. People were taking pictures with us, and they just knew we were from America by the way our hats were shaped.
Huh.
And I was like, this is so strange. I mean, don't get me wrong. My ego loved it. But
well, if you didn't say the word about, that would kind of make it a giveaway too, right?
Yeah, we learned how to say Calgary versus Calgary.
Oh, interesting.
So, you know, little things, but it was cool because even the locals up there were noticing like American hats just look different. They knew that there was something different about us just by the way our hats look.
Huh.
So
fascinating.
Crazy. Yeah. We could go on all day.
Well, and the cool thing is, you know, if you're at an event and you're there are so many Diamond G hats out there now in the area. You spot somebody in the crowd, they come say, hey, you're going to pull their hat right off their head and go, hey, let me touch this up for you.
Yeah. And we, you know, it's, if you see me at a Costco, I'm always looking at people's hats. Like, it's almost like OCD. I'm always looking at people's hats like, ooh, can I touch your hat up real quick? And, you know, I always ask politely. I fixed somebody's, a woman's hat in the produce section at Costco one day because it was bad. The straw hat, like real bad. And she said, so you just do this? And she took our social media. She's like, ooh, you're pro at this. And I'm like, yeah, I was like, no worries. She's like, do I owe you anything? I'm like, no, it's all good. Like, I was like, and then if you ever need something again, you know where to come. And I think, you know, word of mouth and just having like really positive interactions with people about their hat and learning about their hat while I'm doing it is kind of exciting. My kids were they were like watching it, you know, like totally good the whole time I was doing it. Even like, it's really neat because it opens so many avenues and so many doors.
What an interesting conversation, right? Yeah. Like now all of a sudden you're just having a conversation with a stranger and it's kind of your job, but at the same point in time, it's like you'd love doing it. So.
Yeah. I had a lot of people. I was in the beginning of May. I was at a new local distillery here, the Cottle Village we had talked about, and I had 3 different.
It's a cool place too, by the way.
Yeah, I had 3 different people come up to me during that night and just say stuff along the lines of, "You can tell you really enjoy what you do," and that means a lot.
Yeah.
Because I don't really see it. The work is all the stuff that nobody else sees. The work is setting up the equipment for an event night, tearing it down. But when I'm there, it's just different. You know, it doesn't seem like work. I'm just having fun getting to know people and giving them something that they ultimately want. And that's where the cash comes in, right?
Yeah.
You know, that's where the transaction comes in. But like, I do enjoy it. And I think that the nights kind of fly by, you know, especially I think halfway through last summer, I stopped wearing a watch when we would go to events because it was like this constant reminder of like, you have X amount of hours left or whatever. And I was like, I don't really care. I don't want to know what time it is. I just want to get lost in that day. And
nice.
It's kind of,
we don't do that anymore as a society.
No, we don't. We're always on a schedule. We're always hearing notifications for our phones. And I really, you know, I kind of warn all my employees when they start, like after the first night or two, like if you ever see me kind of like space out where I'd step back from, you know, underneath the tent if we're outside and I kind of just like, I'm glaring up. I'm really just taking the chance to be in the moment and look up at the sky and understand that, like, you know, a lot of these places that we go, like in the summertime, we're outdoor in rodeo settings, just to hear the noise and see the stars. And like, there could be a lot worse ways to spend the night.
Oh, not everyone gets to see that.
Either. So just, you know, kind of being thankful for the opportunity to be a part of that and to do something that I am enjoying at the same time affecting people. Like, it's not lost on me, like, that this really is a blessing. I'm just really excited to be a part of it. And, you know, however far our company goes, and that's great. You know?
Well, you've got the background from the fashion industry already. And so you're applying it to something that really is, it's a lost art in the world today.
Yeah. And I always said, like, when I first sat down with my first mentor that was going to teach me how to shape a hat, and I've had 3 that I kind of attribute outside of my dad, who was the first person to show me actually happen. They asked me what I was, my biggest concern going into that time with them was about, starting my own business. And I always said it was the hat shaping. And he's like, really? That's the biggest thing. We're going to teach you that, And I said, yeah, because I think I have the business side of it pretty well down. Like I've run global business. I've worked for Red Bull, as their marketing manager. So I have really good
They do some marketing, don't they?
Yeah, I've got some good marketing acumen. And then since transition to that, to more of a leadership on the sales and the planning side and the operation stuff, I was like, I'm worried I'm not going to be good at this. And I'll tell you, the first couple of months, it was really shaky.
Yeah.
But 1,000+ hats later, like I am good at that, to the point where now, we're getting booked. I did National Finals Rodeo in December in Las Vegas. I did the Calgary Stampede here recently. Like I said, we got, an email for the Pendleton Roundup out in Pendleton, Oregon. Nice. That's 3 of the 5 largest rodeos in the world in the first year.
There you go.
Within a year, I should say. And so
you got the other 2 on the radar?
Yeah. I know where they are. We'll get there eventually.
You got to.
Cheyenne, I'm coming for you.
There you go.
It's Cheyenne and Houston are the other 2. So
there you go.
And I think that's not out of reach of happening either. It's just,
is that like the Triple Crown, or what is that? What's the golf one? There's a golf one.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
The Grand Slam.
That's one.
I mean, maybe it'll end up happening, right? So I think,
well, there's your marketing post, so you can credit me when it happens.
I've completed the Grand Slam.
The Grand Slam of hat shaping.
It would be neat. And at the same time, like, I just learn everywhere we go, and I'm meeting new people, and, you win fans and you win lifelong customers one at a time.
Yeah.
And so, we do the social media stuff, and I think that's really important. But at the same time, like, I like to spend time getting to know everybody. We are starting to see our hats a little bit more, and that's not lost to me. We go to a concert and I see one of my hats. We went to dinner one night, and it was just like, took the kids to Texas Roadhouse, right? So we're sitting at our booth on the far wall, and I look over across the restaurant and I see somebody wearing a hat, and instantly I'm judging that hat shape. I'm like, is that, and I was like, that's a pretty good looking black hat. And the guy just happened to turn, and we always put our brand on the back right.
Yep.
Of the hat. And this guy turned, and I actually
there. Yeah. For those watching, right on the back there.
He turned so I could see his back right, and it was one of our hats. And I couldn't have been more proud. And I've always said that there's like, different ways that I know that we're really starting to be successful. When we go to like a concert and I start to see those badges more and more and more, and I know that we're doing our thing. One of the coolest things so far is like, I saw one of those badges. I walked up to somebody, and I was like, thinking I was being cheeky, but they'll remember me, which is pretty conceited, and I shouldn't really.
It's not conceit; it's pride in the work, in the knowledge that you're doing good things.
So I said, "Hey, nice hat," and they're like, "Hey, thanks a lot," and they had no idea who I was, and I was like, "That's even cooler."
Yeah,
like that, like they don't, their hat is a part of them, but they don't necessarily have to, remember where they got it, and I was like, that's cool, man. I mean, we're all the writings on the wall, and as a business, we've gone through life cycles, right? Like, you get to be the scrappy little guy, and then I remember last fall being told by one of our manufacturers, hey, you're not a big guy, but you're not little anymore. You don't get to play the underdog anymore. You're kind of coming around, and we're not a multi-million-dollar business by any means. I mean, clearly I still have a day job, but I joke all the time that my employees will be full-time before I will.
Yeah.
And, we're just kind of exploring that growth cycle right now as to where things are going to go and what we're going to look at.
Well, that's awesome. So, all right. So let's talk about it from a financial perspective a little bit, right? So as you grow, there's always going to be pain points, hurdles, things like that, investments you have to make in your company. So what do you think about, how are you navigating those challenges?
Yeah. And there's been plenty of them this year already. Equipment's always something we have to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Unexpected expenses.
The biggest equipment. I mean, obviously you need your trucks and your things to get your equipment from A to B. That's probably the biggest expense equipment.
Right? Yeah. The trailer, the truck, for sure.
Then you also have the steam equipment for the hats, right?
Yeah. Steamers are not cheap, especially, with all the trade stuff that went on early in the year. There's still some opportunistic customers or manufacturers that are taking advantage of people. people raise prices, they never lower them back.
That doesn't happen.
No.
Yeah, it's the inflation is never deflation.
Yeah.
In fact, everyone says deflation is worse than inflation from an economic perspective. I'm like, unless you're the consumer, dude.
Right. So what a steamer used to be, you know, a couple grand, probably when I got started, is now like 2,500.
Yeah.
And so, you know, those are industrial steamers. We did have like,
must be tariffs, right?
Yeah.
That's clearly, it's all tariffs.
The tariffs that don't exist anymore. And, you know, we did just recently have like, you know, something we had never experienced before. Our trailer had an issue with somebody hitting it at an event.
Okay.
And we used CSI techniques to understand that it was actually hit. So somebody told us we had a flat tire on the trailer. It was a 2-night thing. I go to look at the tire. I'm like, it's not a flat tire. The rim's completely broken.
Yeah, that's a problem.
So I got a replacement wheel and tire delivered. Luckily, we were in an area we knew somebody, put it on, and it was rubbing on the frame. And I was like, well, that's not going to make it back to St. Louis. It's 3.5-hour drive.
Yeah.
So we limped it to a farm of a buddy of mine 20 miles away. Like his parents lived close, and only to find out that the axle was completely bent. You know, those types of expenses, you don't really business plan for, you know, a $2,000 ticket where you're like, well, that stinks because, you know, now the profit of that weekend has just been diminished greatly. But this is the cost of doing business. So, you know, we've planned well enough to have cash reserves. I think, you know, when we spoke in September off air, I had mentioned like a pretty aspirational goal for revenue that I thought we could meet. And we fell just a touch shy of that, but we were actually, from a cash flow perspective, in our first 8 months, you know, to end that calendar year, cash flow positive, which doesn't happen.
No, and cash flow positive is actually more important than profit, really. Because cash is king. You know, that's what makes you go.
So, and we've done all this with minimal credit. Like, I mean, we just don't, I didn't want to get in a position where like we were using a ton of credit, but as we continue to grow and
you're going to have to.
Right. Yeah. And so we kind of have to look at how we harness credit the right way. We just opened, you know, as headcount is starting to grow from a part-time perspective, and I can't always be on site. I needed to provide to them, you know, credit cards, you know, simple stuff that like, hey, this is under your name, it's billed to us, keep receipts. So we start doing the expenses, you know, the normal, you know, stuff like that. And we look at growth and how we invest. Now we have a pretty robust marketing, you know, a marketing budget that, you know, we do targeted social media. We have a social media marketing company that's running stuff and editing content. And that marketing background from Red Bull, I've kind of done some thought starting and strategy with them to where now they're based in Des Moines. And so instead of them coming and capturing content now, we've set up a network of local photographers, videographers that they contract employ. And so we're using local people. They're delivering all the raw footage back up there, and it actually is saving me money so we can keep our content fresher. And so that's one thing we've done. We've got a web store that's going to drop on September 1st. So we're actually building out the website.
Easier accessible for your nationwide shipments.
Right. And at the same time, spending less time, you know, having those conversations. People can just browse. And then if they want to ask questions, they can come to us versus like we're encouraging them to start the process with a conversation. Time is money. And I'm not trying to say I don't want to be personable with everybody online, but it's not always necessary. So we've got to kind of keep that in mind. We're doing, you know, some key like seating with some opinion leaders in the outdoor and Western industry to just kind of get the Diamond G logo in front of people's eyes a little bit more. We've developed really strong partnerships with some really cool celebrities. I just, you know, last week got another text message from Adam Wainwright, and he'll be back in town soon.
Well, he needs to be on the radio show here.
Yeah,
clearly.
He's definitely.
I mean,
he's
what are we doing here?
Definitely a local celebrity, and
he's a country artist. Like, what's going on here? We'll talk about his country. I don't know why he's not on here. If he's listening, I mean, it's a welcome invitation.
Yeah, so I believe he'll be back. He's here July 27th for a concert at the Factory in Chesterfield. So the boys and him are going to get straw hats, and you know, and he couldn't ask again for a nicer guy that aligns himself with our company values.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, they're just good people. And, you know, with that growth too, like we are slowly like looking at how do we continue to like roll that credit. You know, we talked about briefly how, you know, one month you might have a $15,000 or a $20,000 credit card bill from like expenses for things, but because that inventory is not actualized and in your inventory, you're like, well, I can't exactly just pay that off on the crisp.
Right.
And so you might carry $3,000 or $4,000 over, and it's not a huge thing.
Well, there's good debt and bad debt.
Right.
You tend to think of credit card as not great debt.
Not
but
great. Yeah.
If you're using it for a month or so from a cash flow perspective, to grow and utilize your business while transitions and turnovers take place, I mean, that can be viable.
I like 0% interest.
You can't beat that. I take that all day long.
Right.
I'll extend myself as much as I possibly can for that rate.
And so we've started some conversations with some key people around us and understanding valuation of the business. And if we were to start to open up conversations that are more deep with potential investors, we've had a couple of people kick the tires, and we're not totally out of that conversation where we're like, oh no, that's not us. It's just understanding the right situation and people that are in it for the right reasons, as opposed to like, I have a pretty strong history with private equity.
I was going to say,
we're not going down.
You're not going down this whole private equity game.
No,
because now all of a sudden it's corporate world again.
Yeah, and we don't need my name getting drugged through that at the same time. So, it's
that's neat though. So you're talking some small private investment opportunities, which is always kind of fun to get involved in. So
and we dabble, right? Like, I mean, that doesn't mean that we're going to close a deal, but as a company is growing, I think it's important to understand people that want to help for the right reasons,
right?
And what that help can bring the company long term. And you never say never. And at the same time, like, I think that we're a company that has an extreme growth potential, and as long as we keep doing what I think we feel is right, we're gonna go a long way. We're not in this for a short blip. We're in this for the long haul. And I've always said that we want a position where our kids can take it over. And I think that the foundation we've laid the first year and a half, like, it's a very strong possibility that our company is going to be a part of Missouri for a very long time.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to get you on again, continue to hear about the growth, and make sure you pay Caleb a visit at one of the upcoming events we have right here in the St. Louis area. So Caleb, thanks for coming on today. And until next time, we'll see you then.
All right. Thanks a lot, Chris.
All right. Thanks so much, my friend Caleb, for joining us from Diamond G Hat Company. He's got a lot of things going on. It is so cool to see somebody come back on the show, seeing a little bit of success in their business and giving a little bit of a different spin and different feel as to what they've experienced and how they've grown. And it's just exciting to hear. Every time I talk to a business owner and I get to see that passion and that growth and that excitement with their goals and objectives really coming true, it just makes such a difference. It's why I love what I do. And I get to see this with retirees as well. When we get to see some of those peace of mind items fall into place. I just had a conversation with a client just the other day who said, you know what? My balances are looking really good, but not only do they look really strong today, they're more balanced, they're more diversified. I have some more protection. I've taken care of some of my concerns, and I feel really good about where we sit for our future. That's amazing. That's what I call financial serenity, and you deserve it too. We all deserve some peace of mind in what we do. Our goals are important. It's what funds our life, right? Caleb talked about it. A lot of times we have passion in what we do. We have to enjoy what we do. When we're retired, we want to enjoy our life. When we're working, when we're self-employed and building our business, we want to enjoy what we do each and every day. It's why I get up and go to work every day, to help the people in my community. It is a wonderful, wonderful feeling, and I love getting to experience it. When I work with individuals, it's the same thing. When we accomplish those goals and we can see that transition to being able to say, hey, I'm going on vacation. What do I need to do? What do I need to do differently? Nothing. We've already planned for it because it's part of your lifestyle expenses. When you manage your financials towards experiencing the lifestyle you deserve and worked hard to achieve, it makes a big difference. Sure, we want to think about today, but we have to think about tomorrow too. We have to think about the tomorrow we built, and we have to think about the tomorrow that we want to enjoy when that day comes, because that's going to be here. And we want to make sure we have the financial means to do that for today and for tomorrow. It's exciting to see these plans come into place, and we want to make sure we help people be able to enjoy that each and every day. It is, at the end of the day, about numbers, right? You can hear from Caleb. He was talking about some of the numbers that go into things. At the end of the day, numbers have got to be there. So financials have got to be there as well. We can't just make things come out of nowhere, but we want to make sure our financials, it's not about just coming up with numbers. That doesn't help anybody. It's about making sure those numbers solve their ultimate objective. That's where it makes a big difference. That's where we get to see that peace of mind being delivered. And that is when people feel really, really good about their financial future, right? It's important to enjoy the lifestyle you deserve. Make sure you enjoy it too. Tune in to us next week. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Tune in each and every week for Serenity Wealth Now Radio. Check us out at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Serenity Now!
This is Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper. Request a free copy of Chris's latest book, The New Holistic Retirement, by visiting SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.